Sinners is a period horror film taking place in 1932 on the tail end of Prohibition in the United States. We follow twin brothers Smoke and Stack, both played by Michael B. Jordan. They return to their Mississippi hometown after spending years on an excursion with the mob up in Chicago. They return with their pockets filled and decide to open an old-fashioned juke joint for their old community. They recruit a team of people to provide catering and entertainment, including their cousin and talented blues guitarist Sammy. He's the son of a preacher who condemns the supernatural impact the music he plays can have, as it has the capability to conjure spirits of the past and future. This leads to a supernatural turn of events when the juke joint is visited by vampires who seek to grow their kinship, forcing the team to fend for their lives. So this movie is quite the blend of genres. It's a crime film, a western, a horror film, and a bit of a musical all in one. It's also a slow burn. The movie sort of starts at the end, but then very quickly jumps back a day, and that's when the movie really starts, and it kind of gives the movie this point of excitement to see what everything leads up to. It has a lot of symbolism in it. It's not a fully fleshed out one-for-one metaphor, but the big topic here is oppression. The movie takes place in a very segregated America with oppression, racism, and exploitation being embodied through vampiric lore. Vampires don't just feed on people here, but also on the fear and generational trauma of this segregated Mississippi community. They represent the oppressive hierarchy of that period that feeds off of suffering. And in traditional vampire story fashion, it's got a little bit of a sexual charge to it, but it's thankfully not over the top or titillated the way that, some B vampire movies can be. It never veers into the territory of being like, yeah, that's right, I'm a sexy vampire, and I'm gonna say sexy things hand in hand with all the evil, murderous shit that I say, because I'm sexy and evil, and that's it. It's not like that here. The sexual dialogue is not by any means obnoxious. It doesn't sound like it was written by a thirsty dude who's just fulfilling his sexual fantasies through his script. Another big subject in this movie is rebellion. We follow these two mobster brothers who are relishing in the wealth of their exploits and spreading that same live fast, play hard mentality to the other characters, namely their cousin Sammy. He's a blues guitarist who's been told that he plays devil's music. Being able to play what he wants and live a little bit like his cousins is the exact taste of rebellion that he needed. More symbolism there. The movie takes that old notion that blues music is devil's music and represents that through this story where it literally has the potential to conjure spirits. So perhaps not the best way to draw that parallel because that seems explicitly dangerous, but nevertheless, it's a clever way to cover the movie's core subject, which is of course the power of music. The movie illustrates how music brings us joy, healing, and biggest of all, community, showing us how timeless it is in connecting people across generations and struggles. And in a story where kinship is a big topic that is talked about loudly with vampires and segregation, music is used in a unique way to illustrate how these communities differ. Our characters at the juke joint love the blues, while the vampires play soft folk music, which was considered to be more socially acceptable by the white community back then. This is not just represented through the music that we literally see these characters playing on screen, but also through the score. There's lots of wonderful blues music playing in the background throughout the movie, but sometimes when the vampires are on screen, it'll switch to being eerie or straight up hard rock music. I actually did not know until the credits rolled for this movie that the score was composed by Ludwig Göransson. Like literally, I saw his name in the credits and I thought, wow, I would have never guessed. For those unaware, he is the composer who previously worked with director Ryan Coogler on Black Panther, earning him his first Oscar with that movie. He has since then won his second Oscar for his original score for Oppenheimer, and I absolutely loved the music in that movie. I was surprised to see his name in the credits because man, does he have some serious range as a composer. Not only is the music just really good, but it's just so much different from his previous work. This movie is stimulating on so many levels. It's got great music, great cinematography, clever allegory, interesting dramatic elements, and some decent horror elements. The movie has a few jump scares, thankfully not too many to where it just gets obnoxious, but there are also few enough that it doesn't really keep you at the edge of your seat looking out for them either. That could be good or bad depending on whether or not jump scares are what you enjoy about horror films. There's also a good bit of blood and gore, but I just wouldn't really call it a total bloodbath overall. The horror doesn't really kick in until about halfway through though, making the genre blending a little bit chunky. Like the first half of the movie is a Western crime drama, and then it just pivots into just being a survival horror movie. It was one of those moments where in the climax, I was sitting there feeling like I was watching a different movie from an hour ago. The movie also kind of feels like it lacks a central point of view. It jumps back and forth between Sammy, Smoke, and Stack. When things started getting messy, I just wasn't sure how to feel about certain things happening happening with these characters just because I wasn't really sure what role they played in the story overall. Sometimes when the line between lead and supporting character is blurry and they have a big pivotal moment, you kind of just have this awkward feeling of, oh god, that was a big deal, maybe? I did love Michael B. Jordan's performance though. It kind of is just one performance because despite these twins having different characteristics, his performance with each of them is kind of comparable. The big thing that helped me distinguish these characters on screen when the scenes were jumping back and forth between them was Stack's grill. So if you're having trouble figuring out who's who, just pay attention to their teeth. So this movie is jam-packed, but thankfully not overstuffed. Going into it, I was a little bit worried that with all of the ideas present, that some of them would not deliver, but I was pleasantly surprised. I also want to acknowledge one particular scene without spoiling it. There's this really cool one-take scene that had me utterly mesmerized. Honestly, it was one of those once-in-a-blue-moon movie moments that had me sitting there watching in admiration thinking, yes, now that is what I call cinema. The movie is quite good, and I feel the need to tell you that when the credits start rolling, don't just get up and leave, because there is a mid-credit scene that is basically the actual end of the movie. I don't really understand why it was placed in the credits because it really ties a bow on the whole movie, so you should really stick around for it. It's only a few minutes long and you will be happy you stuck around for it. Thank you for watching this review. If it brought you any value at all, please give it a like. It really does help the channel grow. I'll see you next week with my review of The Legend of Ochi.